We're gonna be looking at Jaru, but overall, the whole team is gonna be stellar.
The match seems to be ready. Yurix, take it away.
Here I am, Gravity. Started things off on Hollywood, though. Decod, as you guys were talking about a little bit, we know that he, as you say, obviously likes to play a little bit of Reinhardt. It's as he put in his own words, it's his best character to play with, best hero. So I imagine we'll be seeing some of that. But here in this meta, you often see a lot more Winston. So I think that at least for this attack here, we're gonna be seeing that. But Crimzo, we get to see him on the Zenyatta.
Out sniping the Widowmaker already as N64 will be brought back up with the help of that Mercy, and as a result, it will be actually making the swap over to D.Va. So dive versus dive is the name of the game. Some slight differences when it comes to those supports, however, as it's Moira up against Ajax's Lucio so far, and already things are looking good here for Envision as we start out Hollywood.
Taking their sweet time at the moment. Really haven't done all too much of anything at the moment, but now it's going to be Decod going forward, instantly punished by Buds as he comes forward and lays into his head, domes him up a little bit with the single clip and then pulls back. But again, they're just kind of buying their time a little bit. Dummy in the back on the Zenyatta, now left unprotected. Buds will easily find this kill, but finally Ajax does come forward.
And Jaru finding the kill onto Reach means that the rest of this team will surge forward, look to clean things up. It's all about Envision Esports on that kill feed. As N64 loses that mech, but Ajax at the very least gets one in return. Not really gonna get too much off of it, I would expect, as the Tracer seeing how quickly she can come back from spawn. And overall, looking at those ultimates, it's definitely favoring the defensive side as the Transcendence maybe forced out early. However, Decod fighting a little more off of he can chew means that he will go down. Jaru once again getting a kill. Crimzo too. And with the late staggered kills potentially coming out, it doesn't mean that N64 will most likely go back to spawn just so we can get another mech. And those resources, man, look at all those ultimates already good to go for Envision Esports.
Ajax protecting Dummy a lot in these situations where they go kind of aggressive and dive on Dummy, but that really kind of leaves things out in the open as Buds goes forward. He doesn't decide to pulse, but now he does. There's the stick. Claims 2 after he dies off.
So it's a 2-for-1 so far, as we'll also see Kevster drop pretty low. Does get healed up in the end, but with that pulse bomb, it's gonna put a hold onto this push once more. And outside of that pulse bomb, nothing committed for the side of Envision Esports, so things are still looking good. It's gonna come down to which team will have a bit of usage of those ultimates here in this next team fight.
Yeah, Buds is really the only person that's died, and every time he does, he creates enough space for himself that he's able to get back in time. Reach comes forward. They have some ultimates to work with here. And it's going to be Fire starting things off with the Coalescence. They need to hang on here as Crimzo fell to the Pulse Bomb. It's really just going to come down to Fire's play now. Can they hold on long enough for him to come back?
As Reach will pop that blade, will eventually get the kill onto Fire, but self-destruct angled from the side. It will not find any kill, but what it does is buy enough time for the rest of his team to regroup. So far as iShiny somehow still alive. I think he had 1 HP, but it is going to be cleaned up by Reach, who dashes in, but the blade will come out. Can it find the kill? So far, unsuccessful. Will get one onto Decod in the end. Looking for more. Almost gets Dummy. Will be taken out in return, though, and as we will see one tick already achieved. Rapidly approaching that second one. It does look like last night's leftovers will be getting that payload rolling.
I mean, that was so close. He had Ajax and Dummy at just a blade away or a dash through away. Just barely missed on Ajax and wasn't able to get the last swipe on a Dummy as time wore down on his blade duration. If he would have gotten that, maybe they would have gotten something, but I don't even know at that point. Nonetheless, last night's leftovers going to be coming forward. And if you were wondering about, if you were wondering about their past performance, this is from Open Division, Rob420, blase it. And as they go forward, they already claimed 2 lives. Jaru and iShiny both falling, so a steady pace for them on the attack.
Kevster definitely also stepping up on that Tracer. Will manage to find not only the count to Butts, but a follow-up kill at that. And looking at the ultimates for now, it does seem like will be a small advantage for the attacking side, but Reach might be looking for Crimson, that Zenyatta, just so he can get him out of the picture as soon as possible, not allow him to get that Transcendence up and ready to go. Already losing this suit, McGravy will be able to stay alive for now, but Buds will manage to find a kill in return, and overall still a back and forth as the member advantage will be in favor of the attacking side. Last night's leftovers, but they need to also get that kill into Buds eventually, as Dummy's gonna drop really low, but with the help of the rest of his team, 3v1 means that Buds will fall in the end, but nobody was on the payload, so we might just see Envision still able to regroup for one more team fight.
And they also have the ability to counter Reach if he goes aggressive with the blade, and he does indeed. He's still gonna find the kill onto Jaro before Crimson can save the day. And now they're just looking to try to stabilize, restabilize rather.
Oh, but the pulse bomb finds a kill onto Fire before he uses that sound barrier, and as a result, things are looking really good for last night's leftovers. But McGravy answers with a kill off of the self-destruct. This tank's doing quite a bit of work, but nobody on the payload means that they will, or rather, give up on that objective, and it will be once more the attacking side of last night's leftovers winning out, getting those last few final staggered kills.
Hanging on now. Allow themselves to have just a little bit more time to work with. Kevster has flanked around quite a bit, taking Buds on in a lot of these scenarios, but Buds that time got the better end of the deal. And now they're going to go up and help Kevster up top as they pull Buds out of that one. He's forced to go to the low ground here, and now they're looking to try to de-suit the D.Va.
And Dika tried to get out, but was shut down by Buds, and as a result, with the 6v5, it will be the rest of Envision Esports moving on forward, looking to get any other kills. Will be unsuccessful for now, but at the very least, they will be buying up quite a bit of time, as they do still have that sound barrier. Jaru holding on to that blade will most likely look to get onto that backline, onto the supports, as Dummy and Ajax quite far from their respective ultimates for now.
Well, we see an aggressive dive starting off. I mean, all they wanted to do was just pull the blade out, so Shiny just ran through, turned everybody around. Blade came out from Jaro. Easy kills for him to find there in that situation, as Decod went ahead and swapped places with them, and he just got kited out completely. He dies off a little late after the Primal Rage comes out, and now again regrouping. Last night's leftovers have to come through one more time to get this last one.
And considering the fact that so many ultimates are banked up on the defensive side, Bud's already finding a kill onto Dumby to enable the rest of his team to really win it out once more. Looking very favorable for them. Jaru claims another onto Decod, and back to the spawn, they say, as Buds is gonna be very aggressive at that too. But again, considering the economy advantage in terms of those ultimates, still looking pretty good on the defensive side. However, if they manage to keep Dummy alive this time, they will be able to get that Transcendence in this next team fight.
On the other side of things, they got to keep Jaro alive, because last time Reach pulled the blade out against a Transcendence, he was still able to kill off a discorded Jaru before they were really able to get anything done. Now both supportals at the same time!
A bit overlapping, not quite what you were looking for here for last night's leftovers, as McGrave is going to find a kill, but the pulse bomb from Kevster is going to claim two, and maybe with that kill, with the blade coming out of Reach, they can still do this, as Buds will still look to answer, gets one kill of his own onto Dummy, but it has to be all about last night leftovers here if they want to get that payload closer to the objective, as McGravy still gets a kill onto Decod. Kevster still doing a lot of work on that trace, so will make things difficult. Rest of this team will be able to come back from spawn, and one more team fight most likely going to happen here as overtime is still ongoing.
So any time that they are able to solidify a fight here or just push them off of the objective, Crimson going to deny Reach that high ground. They're going in. Soundberry comes out. There's the blade from Jaru. They need to clean this up quickly here. Taking down Dummy from the blade. Jaru still going to be able to find those kills. It's Shiny coming forward now, trying to clean things up alongside Buds on the objective. Overtime still ticking. Pulse Bomb comes out from Kevster. This time will not find anything.
And the problem is, with both supports down, the staying power of these frontline heroes for this side of last night's leftovers is not going to be enough. And we will see Envision Esports holding it out in the end, but still, pretty good attack round coming out of last night's leftovers overall. Still look to have potentially a better defense on that first point.
So that first point looked very, very solid. I mean, we've seen a lot of teams struggle though, as we've seen first point holds look like they were about to happen, and then either it be in overtime or, getting close to that point, they lose it. And then the entirety of the streets phase, with Saloon and everything and Bank and like just not being able to control high ground as well. They just don't have the ability to hold out indefinitely on the second stage of the map going to objective B. And that becomes a little bit difficult, because then when you go into the final stage, you're playing against the clock and you kind of just allow some of these fights to happen where, it's not always going to be going in your favor. And you kind of just let through almost 78 meters of distance on the payload and what was looking like it was going to be a full hold. So, obviously, if you look back at the beginning of the map, you wouldn't really have expected it to look like this. But still, last night's Leftovers gets it done. And now we're going to be seeing the attack from Envision. And you expect good things here, but we'll have to see, because DCOD in this lineup has kind of thrown a wrench in their plays a couple of times already, but iShiny still making a lot of space for them. We saw some overlap of support ultimates. Obviously, for last night's Leftovers, they won't want to continue that going forward, and they were only able to win that fight really off the back of two insane DPS ults from both their Tracer and their Genji in that particular fight.
We'll see now that, at the very least, for the side of last night's Leftovers, they do have potential of dealing with the dive a little bit better, with reach on the likes of Soldier. See whether or not it will, in the end, help him out, as Jar already discorded. The Winston up in his face will be forced to disengage for a bit, but overall, iShiny trying to find that target. Will look to go off from the side. Now already onto the point. We'll see on the other side, Kevster look for those supports, but overall, it seems like N64 will be able to pick up first blood, but gets one in return. Both Winstons going down, but now losing the suit as well. Things are not looking too good for last night's Leftovers, as we'll have Jaru claim another kill. McGravy with a double kill of his own. And just like that, the defense is in shambles. And Envision Esports looking poised to have an even better time on their offensive round here, moving on to the second phase.
It's crazy that McGravy was able to stay alive in that fight. Obviously, a lot of credit goes to his healers running the Lucio Zenyatta setup, keeping him up still, but then we'll see DCOD going down, so space created by Buds as he dies off. And I said it before, where, when Buds goes down, he typically has this knack for just creating some distance between his team and, the opposition, where he's able to kind of come back and just give his team that extra little bit of time to set up.
And at the very least here, for both sides, quite a lot of ultimates building up. However, having the Transcendence alongside the Blade, we've seen from Fusion University how deadly can really be, as Jaru could potentially have it just for that extra support. But McGravy is going to claim the first kill. The Blade is not going to find anything, but it doesn't matter, as it's all about the side of Envision Esports claiming the kills. DCOD does get one in return onto that Genji, but again, overall, only the Blade committed means that things are looking very good here for Envision Esports.
And as they come into this next fight, they're going to have to wait a while for DCOD. He is going to get speed boosted by Ajax. He does also have Primal Rage to engage quickly, and they're going to have some staying power with Dummy there as well. But trying to get Reach into a position where he can pull out this Tac Visor and have a profound effect with it, as Jaru just strikes right through him!
And with that, it makes it a 6v5. The Pulse Bomb is going to come out, doesn't quite get the kill, but the huge self-destruct McGravy with a big triple. Perfect angle off of the bomb means that he's going to dance in celebration on that Diva and secure a very good time for his team, moving on to that final objective.
Fire going forward. We'll have the sound barrier here as well, but both support ults, same section of the map where you have Dummy and Ajax both having their ultimates ready. Hopefully for last night's Leftovers, we'll see them communicating this one a little bit better to put out them a little bit more staggered, try to get a little bit more longevity in the fight with both of them coming out at different times rather than simultaneously.
And we'll see that sound barrier being used. However, it's going to be McGravy who claims the first kill. Dummy a bit left, but has loads himself as the rest of his team surge forward. And it's going to be only Kevster finding one kill. However, as I say that, Decod gets another, but was it really worth it? Because the payload is still contested. Jaru gets another one. McGravy will be desuited, however, and as the rest of Last Night's Leftover regroup, it will manage to find the kills in the end.
And over time, we'll see Kevster fall as Buds finds that kill, and now pressure will be on the front line of Last Night's Leftovers, particularly Decod, to try to get back into this fight where he's already... I mean, he's got a target on his back right now. Every time he comes into the fight, Crimzo's just got his number. Jaru holding onto the blade. We see Transcendence ready from Crimzo as he gets into a better position. The sound barrier comes out, and this is just an opportunity here for Envision.
And Dummy will be the first one to use that Transcendence, but now that's out of the question. The blade is gonna come out from Jaru. Buds, though, claims the first kill, second one from Jaru. However, he will be taken down off of the self-destruct, but it seems like it doesn't matter as Crimzo finds another himself. Post-bomb is gonna come out, however, not quite successful for Kevster. It means that nobody's gonna make it on the payload, and it will be Envision Esports winning the first map here on Hollywood.
A quick cap for them, able to secure it. Excellent time, excellent performance by McGravy, actually. Even when iShiny takes a little bit too much pressure and they focus a lot on him right off the bat, especially, McGravy's still able to kind of make some of these plays. You see him doing it with a self-destruct, but not just that, but even staying alive just long enough to help everybody get through. McGravy making that role swap and really having an impact with it so far. Don't go anywhere, guys. We got map 2 coming your way.
And we are back at the analysis desk once again. The Envision train seems to be unstoppable on attack, as it didn't seem that last night's Leftovers could have done much to stop them. I would say also McGravy had a stellar performance on D.Va.
For sure, but overall, just again, on this lineup, Bud's definitely a key player on that Tracer. and also Crimzo with the Zenyatta denying the opposition when it comes to those early picks off of the right click, off of the destruction orbs with the secondary fire, and really helping his team secure those fights early.
But also looking at Vision in the previous maps, they seem so much better on the attack than on defense.
It's a trend that follows most North American teams because of the aggressive playstyle. Most of them are adapting, and with the heavy emphasis on dive in most cases, it's just a natural thing to occur.
Now next up is Horizon Lunar Colony, an assault map. What do you think we can see here?
Well, this is the type of map Envision was struggling a little bit more in their first showing, but again, that is not really indicative of the performance these guys are capable of. So we could see a few interesting things. We've seen Sombra in the past, not as much with the North American scene. However, Quad Tank could be the name of the game, and just more dive.
I mean, as you said, a lot of viable compositions are seen on this map. We're also seeing sometimes Pharah on attack, even not that much. So now it does seem that last night's leftovers will start on defense. Do you think this is the thing they need in order to get back into this series?
Well, this is going to be potentially really tough for them because, just like you said, attack is where Envision also really shines. So if they already start things out by setting up a really good take on that second point at that 2, it will be really scary and an extra thing to keep in mind going into your attack phase if your last night's leftovers, considering, oh, they did it in 2 minutes or whatever the time might be, and we have to do just as good, if not better, might be disheartening.
The match is ready. Let's go.
So looking at it here, looks like another dive, but this time we see Crimzo possibly on the Moira. Defensively, though, interestingly enough, we'll have a Widow defense with Reach on the Junkrat, and they're going to be utilizing the Mercy as well, so more of a kind of approach from potentially like what was last meta, although you can obviously still use this approach. It still works. Certainly, though, it is kind of diveable, but you can easily kind of just pull them off. You know, with the Orisa, put a bunch of damage into them from Reach and N64. You have the Widow to just provide some of that damage as they leap up as well. Discord from Dummy. So ideally, they shouldn't be susceptible to the dive here, but we'll have to see how this is played out by iShiny.
Ooh, but already fire going down. Kester picking up a second kill. Things are already looking much better here for last night's leftovers, as they will continue on to hold out strong. Looking for a few late kills at that too, and Kester looking pretty terrifying on that Widow so far.
But something that's interesting is that Shiny has worked his way into the back line. Look at Shiny's position here. All the way in the back. Nobody knows he's here. He's going to probably try to sneak his way onto the point, and if he can get there, then he'll just be able to just pull everybody down onto it, and then they'll be able to go ahead and open up their dive up top. It'll leave everybody susceptible. So he's now on the point. Everybody should turn, but nobody is. Nobody's turning. And finally, we see the Roadhog coming over. And that's a good movement to have them be able to answer that with.
But Kester does find one kill. However, Crimson is going to once again get that Widowmaker, but it seems like it does not matter, as Reach did have that tire good to go. Takes out the Genji and Jaru. And at the very least here for the attacking side, they do get that one tick, but we'll see the rest of last night's leftovers able to recover and set up top once more.
Great play from LNL. They managed to stay composed in that situation, which not many teams are used to with a sneaking Winston. You just don't get that a lot. That was just kind of a one-off. We won't probably see that again for the rest of the group stage. Who knows, though? But as they're holding out right now, this has worked out quite well for them. A lot of damage coming out of Reach. Kevster hitting some of these shots as well, and the pressure has instead been on Envision.
We'll see Crimson drop pretty low. Buds finally gets taken down as N64 was on top of that point, ready to contest. However, McGravy finds one to return, and Dummy, not only does he get the D-suit, but he gets the kill on to Jaru as well. And as a result, already being pushed back, we'll see McGravy go down in the end. And since Kester is still fragging out, still getting those late kills, now we see Envision with 1 minute and 33 seconds left with this push. and all these ultimates banked up for the defensive side, we might just see LNL holding out this first point.
They're just holding out so well. It doesn't really seem like Envision is as lethal as we saw in Beat and as we saw even in their other matches already. They haven't been able to generate these ults. They've really struggled to find opening kills, and they've really struggled against this Widowmaker in particular.
And Buds, with that pulse bomb, only finds the supercharger. Nothing else in return, as the kills are still favoring the defensive side of LNL. And now, with the D-suit going on, even though iShiny was sneaky on that Winston looking to push them out, it will be N64 claiming the kill onto McGravy. Reach gets another onto the opposing Winston. And the big problem here for the side of Envision is the fact that the defensive side still has Transcendence. They still have Balk, and Reach with that Riptire could be very well the only thing they need in order to push them away and halt them dead in their tracks.
This Mercy hold is working out well for them so far. Ajax has been able to get so many clutch reses that were just free. In every sense of the word, they just haven't been able to really put any kind of pressure onto him at all so far.
And now we will see Buzz try to retaliate with a Widowmaker of his own, but Transcendence was used. A lot of ultimates couldn't just really going on here for Envision, as the kills are still favoring their side. iShiny getting Reach there in the end. Jaro finding N64, and in the end, Buds definitely paying off big time with a Widowmaker swap. Means that they will get the point eventually, but definitely looking very shaky once again on that assault map.
But they have the ability to go ahead with Sound Barrier and Blade. If they can win out on this next fight, which is possible given the ult economy, you know, and how everything looks right now, they could just get aggressive, Blade up, try to create some space for Buds. They have Infrasight as well. Sound Barrier is out. The Blade hasn't found anything just yet from Jaru, and he's actually purpled by the Ana.
Oh, but Buds still finding the head of Kevster. Means that they will look to secure one tick on the points. And enough, it's Crimzo who claims another one, and Buds uncontested all the way in the back. Zenyatta as well. We'll finally see Reach try and get that kill, but already nobody else left to get on the point. That Tracer overcommitting for that kill means that it will be in the end Envision with a beautiful snowball off of the first point take.
Switching sides.
So what looked like a terrible situation to be in, they finally cap it with barely any time left on point A. And then right off the bat, we see the Sound Barrier, we see the Blade, we see space created for Buds start hitting some shots. And after that, that was it. It was all over. And Ajax did go over to the Ana, did get off a nice biotic grenade initially, but they just weren't able to kill off Jaru in that fight. And that meant that Jaru was able to stay there, help secure some kills, and the Genji is very good at doing just that, so that they could just keep that momentum up in their favor. Now, as we see sides flip, you have to wonder what we're going to get defensively, at least, from Envision. And so far, what we've seen now is Jaru coming over on the Junkrat. We saw the same thing, obviously, from Reach. Worked out really well for them, but they are not going for that kind of static hold defense with the Mercy. They're instead going to utilize the lethality that they have in Crimzo, and Fire actually making a return on the Ana. Anybody that has seen Fire, probably even about a year ago now, it must have been, when you saw a lot of Ana. Fire was playing this a lot. Yeah, a lot of people know him as a Lucio player, but he is also, or at least was also, a fantastic Ana player. Very, very talented. Played it for a couple of rosters way back in the day. I believe he was a part of Ronin as well as Hammers Esports when he played this. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we're going to get out of this Ana, and then just seeing how their high ground control works with Zenyatta and Ana up top, and then just counter diving when possible.
But if we will see any early picks go through with the help of Reach on that Widowmaker, it's already going to be looking pretty bad for Envision with this first point. No Mercy on their side means they really can't make the most out of that Resurrect potentially. Of course, no Rissa means that, as you said, not as static in terms of their positioning overall, but now both teams just poking away, looking to create some space towards this point. Buds lying off onto the side, splitting their attention ever so slightly. Reach, however, still finally contested by the likes of iShiny. However, on this point, it will be overall NLL getting very close to that first stick. Bud's gonna go down. McGravy loses his suit and already looking disastrous for Envision.
And they're gonna look to try to pull back, but they're gonna have tons of late deaths here as they do wind up losing it. And they can only hope that they don't lose out to momentum early, because it's gonna be so hard to come back from something like that. And already surging forward, last night's leftovers are trying to make their way onto the point. And Shiny gets kind of aggressive here, but he doesn't really have that support backup that you would expect at this stage.
Well, Pulse Bomb coming in from both sides, but Buds is going to get a bigger target onto Ajax as he gets a double kill. Both supports shut down. Means that this should be a good defensive hold here for Envision. Finally setting themselves up, but Reach in the meantime still getting a bit of work done. iShiny finally getting that kill. And Jaro able to disengage means that rest of the offensive team for last night's leftovers will just go ahead and regroup and look for a different approach.
And that different approach will be Reach swapping over to the Soldier 76. They're going to look for high ground control if they can get it. And they're going to still have to worry about trying to deal with Crimzo and Fire, who are very safe in the back. But Shiny needs to get this Primal Rage quick, dives right into the back line, looking for Dummy, has the ability to get the reset. It's actually going to be the Transcendence popped out early here.
And we'll see if they can secure anything off of it as iShiny drops really low. Pulse Bomb is
Oh!
gonna find the kill in the end. Kevster claiming that one, but it is a 6v5. So far, no ticks achieved. However, Blade is gonna be popped, and we'll see Jaro claim one kill onto Dummy. Tries to get another one onto Reach, gets it in the end as it's an all-out brawl, but overall, the respawns coming in from the defensive side should be looking good as Buds claims another double kill, gets that triple off with Ajax dying in the end. And a lot committed, but they do hold out strong.
Shiny fell back to Peel and accidentally fell back to Peel a Pulse Bomb. Found himself dead almost instantly, but coming back into this fight, Reach will have the sound barrier to back up attack visor from high ground. Now it's going to come down to Shiny's ability to try to push that off alongside McGravy. I would say McGravy actually in particular. They have the self-destruct here. Reach not going to be able to get that sound barrier, but he does have the space to work with here as Jaru already falls. They have 2 kills. Shiny down as well.
Well, but Bud's looking to answer alongside McGravy, who pick up a kill off of those bombs. And now, as we will still see them contest onto the point, it looks like they will manage to find the kills they needed in order to secure this one, and Reach unsuccessful on that Soldier will be sniped by Crimzo. McGravy claiming the final kill of that fight and somehow added in with another staggered kill. It will be Envision Esports buying themselves quite a lot of time with the second point defense.
Ajax gonna make a swap, and a lot of people right now are probably thinking, why not Dummy on the Ana? But this is the same thing as their defense. When you play these two, you gotta pick, and Dummy's the proficient. Zenyatta's also 64% towards his ultimate, so Ajax making a swap, again trying to play off with these double kind of long-range healers, creating a backline to play off of Reach. But look at this, surging forward, Shiny in the front with a nano boost. Massive Winston play there to go forward, and they do actually pull away, losing Jaru.
And as a result, Buds will be dropping pretty low. Let's get singled out. However, will manage to disengage and stay alive, and maybe not quite what they were looking for, as Jara going down there really helped the rest of the offensive side to build up a couple of ultimates of their own as well. Reach having that attack visor, and Ajax rapidly getting that nano boost could potentially secure big things here for this side of last night's leftovers, as they will look to engage. Primal Rage will be popped. Pulse Bomb not quite finding the targets, but a lot of ultimates are available on both ends. Self-destructs will be popped, and so far it will be N64 getting a kill. Kevster with a Pulse Bomb of his own, 6v4. An advantage of the attacking side. Attack visor will be popped alongside the nano boost. We'll look for this target. Finally gets Jar, but not before Jar and Buds take out the supports of last night's leftovers, and maybe stopping that healing could be enough eventually.
They are finding the kills, but their team is low. Kevster down to about 60 HP. Reach up top with 140. Does have a heal of his own to try to sustain with, but they're getting aggressive now as Decod fell. And now we're seeing Fire coming back on the Ana, and now getting everybody topped off. Somehow, Envision has held on, and now they have the larger time bank to work with, but they have given up 1 tick so far.
And we will, at the very least, still see those divers of the side of Envision Esports being able to potentially create a lot of space for the rest of their team with the Pulse Bomb, with that Blade too. iShiny going in, does have that Primal Rage, but it is going to be Reach going down. Capture Ajax as well off of the Pulse Bomb, and with the free man down squad here for last night's leftovers, they will be forced to disengage. iShiny claims another kill, and with the D-suit as well, things are looking really bad here for last night's leftovers, as yes, they did have a really easy time with that first point take, but iShiny again so sneaky on that Winston. Look at that positioning. Just
sneaking it out, man, sneaking it out. Nobody sees him even still. And he has the ability to poke and then just jump right out, but Ajax finds him. Gonna turn around for the sleep dart, but he hits it. But now jumping out will be iShiny, still has the barrier, but he might get punished for this, and does.
When just like that, it is a 6v5, but can they capitalize as Pulse Bomb, I believe, gets eaten there by the Matrix. McGravy being on point with that one will, however, claim a kill with the self-destruct out to Ajax, and Jaro now coming back in with the Blade will hunt those targets down. Dummy will fall, Decod as well, and it's going to be all about Envision once more as N64 will lose the mech. Will be looking to get staggered as well, and only Reach with the tech visor means that with 50 seconds left on the clock, things are looking very bad for last night's leftovers.
They have the nano boost for it as well, and they have shown that combo before, but they still have to make sure that Decod's protected, because a lot of times you'll see iShiny actually get the nano boost on his side, which means he can create that space. Decod doesn't usually get that. On the other side of things, though, McGravy eating another Pulse Bomb in that last fight. I want to point that out. Massive play from him so far. Somehow they're keeping Reach alive. Still down to about 10 HP, but they're giving time now away. This is going to be their last-ditch effort. Can they find it here? And Buds with an awesome first pick for them. That's Dummy down and out.
Considering the fact that Attack Visor and Nano Boost is going to come out, is it too late, as it is going to be all about Envision Esports? Pulse Bomb is going to find another kill onto Ajax. Reach gets one onto Jaro, but that's all they get. Decod last man standing. He will go down, in Envision Esports, even though they looked weaker on this assault map, once again, they do claim the win off of it, and with a 2-0 the series as well.
But last night's leftovers look quite good, actually. I mean, considering where they were in the open division and what we expected from Envision, I mean, this is an excellent kind of beginning, because they made some changes to their roster quite recently, and I think over time this is going to be an excellent team. I think that if they just, kind of flesh everything out, I think this is going to be a team that is not just capable of